So today, so we're going to start off, we're going to be talking about yin and yang. Okay, and this is words that I think most of us have heard. And I don't know how much of us, how much of a deeper understanding that we can really have with it. So this is the Tai Chi, or sometimes also called the yin and yang symbol. And it comes from the Taoist philosophy, and the Tao meaning the one that cannot really be explained or cannot be touched, the one that is like God, universe, okay? And the one, in order to experience itself, needed to become two, right? Duality. So the one became two, the two became three, and from the three became all things in Chinese philosophy or the Taoist philosophy. As we look at this, what are some of the things that come to mind? What do we think about? So this was like the only, I don't have any tattoos, but this was like the one tattoo I was going to get on my foot, tie-dyed. I was like my whole life long was one and I didn't even know what it meant, but I had this inherent feeling that it was like wholeness, right? So some of the things that kind of tend to come to mind are words like balance. Okay, we are going to really have to be graceful with me. My very sloppy writing. What else? Anything? Day and night? Sometimes? Opposite? Stagnant? Moving?
I think universe.
Universe, I love it. Duality? Movement? This is like a snapshot. This is just like a snapshot in time. And in a snapshot in time, this is what we get. So we get this, maybe this can represent day, but within the day, in the heat of the day, we seek the shade of the tree. Maybe this side represents the night or the darkness, right? Being guided by the moonlight or the stars. So as much as we're constantly seeking balance. That's like our bodies are constantly seeking homeostasis. Our minds and bodies are constantly seeking balance. This is what this is just a symbol kind of all of that. Does that make sense in the moment just of this picture? Anything else come up for anybody? Okay. Okay, I think that's kind of all I'm going to say about that. Right? Okay, I don't remember. But okay. Ooh, there we go. Okay. So, check you later, Dao, by Tai Chi. One of the things that, as we are talking about this, is, well, we'll talk about that maybe later. I don't know. Okay. You guys haven't done this in a really long time, clearly. Okay, so duality, day and night. Yeah, but there's a lot more to life, right? And so one of the very common ways that this is talked about in traditional Chinese medicine is the theory of the sunny side and the shady side of the mountain. So this is our mountain. This is the shady side. Okay, here's the sun, sun's energy heading this way. Remember how we were kind of talking about like the one becoming the two, right? Like kind of like the Big Bang, we'll say, okay? Creating the forces of heaven and earth. Basically, we're talking about the forces of heaven and earth. The earth spins, sends out centrifugal force. Things are attracted to growing upwards and reaching the skies. The sun's energy or gravitational pull, is the energy that's coming down into the body. Okay, so these are the polarities of yin and yang, and then we're going to talk about how they interplay, how these two energies talk to each other, how they work together, how they interplay. So sun's energies coming down onto this shady side of the mountain. What is life like under the sun? It's a little more warm. It's a little more warm. It's a little drier. A little drier. Well, it's daytime, so we're a little bit more active. It's more active. Okay. Compared to the shady side of the mountain, where things are a little bit cooler, right? It's damp, right? This is energy coming from the earth. So the earth herself is real damp, right? It's passive. It's more represented by the evening, by night. Okay. And one of the things for us to think about or to remember is that this is a compared to. So nothing is an absolute in this. This is just a moment in time. That Tai Chi symbol is just a quick moment in time. So things, today it's a beautiful sunny day, and it might feel like it's a little bit warmer of a day than we've had in the past, 3 or 4 months. So I might go, oh, it's a more yang type day. It's a more active type day. Well, compared to what? Compared to what we've been having, but compared to Arizona, where it's already going to be 95 today, oh, we're looking pretty cool and damp, right? But compared to Pacific Northwest, no, we're still looking pretty yang, right? Or the earth beneath our feet, right? Here, we might look a little bit more yang compared to what? Compared to the sandy beaches of Southern California, right? They're soft. That's all silt. It's silt rock under them there, right? So when we're talking about yin and yang, one of the things that we always want to think about is, what are we comparing it to? Okay. I promise this will start to make sense with the body, but just anyways, right? You can think about, this is the earth's yin. Yin's energy goes up, right? This is the sun's yang's energy goes down. But let's talk about the body, because a lot of us here are body workers. They'll say, oftentimes you'll hear oh, women are so yin and men are so yang, right? What are we comparing, right? If we're comparing muscle tissue, maybe, right? But if we're talking about the organs, women's organs are more contracted, men's organs are more expansive, right? The sex organs, the female body might be softer, but the egg is the hardest cell in the body. While the men's body might be harder, but the sperm's one of the most fragile cells in the body. So back to that balance, back to that, there's a little bit of each in both. So we might just consider this when we're talking about yin and yang. Any thoughts? Any questions? Okay. I'm curious about food. Okay. So there's some foods that make us feel a little bit more expansive, right? Like coffee, right? Alcohol. You can do anything then, right? You have a whole night being your most expansive self, right? And you wake up the next morning and you were like, hell, give me eggs, give me bacon. You know what I made this week, guys? Breakfast beef. Has anybody ever heard of breakfast beef? Oh yeah, okay. Well, I had to make that this weekend, or this week, for my son. It was actually kind of good. Of course, we're probably going to have it with a cup of coffee, because we're always, reaching for balance, right? And that coffee's going to wear off. And then we're going to probably reach for some iced tea in the afternoon, right? And then we'll probably dip from that, and then we might reach for another glass of wine come the evening. We're going to probably make it with a big fat, something grounding to hold us down. And so we're just constantly playing this game of finding balance. What is my body asking for? Well, my body's probably asking to be somewhere in here, right? So the foods that would keep us a little bit more here, grounded, yet not sluggish, right? Feeling good, yet not throwing us over the top. So it'd be things just like our vegetables, grains. And so we spend this life with these ups and these downs, and these ups and these downs. And we're just trying to find balance, but we're reaching and we're falling, and we're reaching and we're falling. Whereas if we just focused a little bit food-wise right here, we might find that we're a little bit more stable. And so speaking of life, I look at this sometimes like we have this one lifeline. And if we spend it, it's kind of like it's like an EKG, is that the little thing? It's like we have this one lifeline, and if we spend it up and down and up and down and up and down, and it can only be so long, because we're exerting all this energy from going up and to down and up and to down. And our jobs as practitioners, as parents, as people striving for balance, is to help each other, to help ourselves have longevity. And maybe doing that kind of this is by looking at our food. Just a thought. Does that make sense? Any questions, any ideas? Okay. Me too. Okay. So I think that's a little bit is that all I want to say about yin and yang? Okay. I didn't really talk about the bigger the front, the bigger the back, but that's okay.
Which one?
Well, one of the things that I think about with this, with people. So there are people that we come across, and we might even notice some of these tendencies in ourselves, right? We have these tendencies to be, okay, I have a tendency maybe to be a little bit more chatty, and I use my hands, and I'm hanging out up here more often than not. But it isn't necessarily more often than not, because the bigger the front, right, the bigger the one side, the bigger the other side, right? So maybe we'll bring that back around. But just to something to be aware of is, don't always take a book for its cover, right? So like one of the classic examples that we always used in school was like Mike Tyson, right? It's like this big tough guy, but he had this like really sweet little kind of voice like this, right? Or we were maybe talking about, somebody else that we knew that was like so tough and comes in and is just like, I'm so tough. And then it's like, oh, I just really want like the lightest energy work you can do, and sometimes you get these like little teeny like ladies, and God, like you can like rail on them and they're like, I don't feel a thing. And you're like, but it looks like I'm going to break you, So just being conscious of this helps us to realize like things aren't always as just they seem. So that was just something else that I feel like falls into this category. Okay, excellent. Excellent. So I'm going to erase this. and just ask you guys as like whatever, friends, people, whatever, thoughts, questions. Did that feel like it made sense? Yeah, you can pause.